Sekou Smith and John Schumann from NBA.com here to Hang Time Podcast. Instant analysis from Game 2 of the Finals here at Oracle Arena. Golden State Warriors pull out another one, John. Not a shocker, I would imagine, to anybody that they would win Game 2. But for the bench to be cleared, for the Cavaliers bench to be cleared, with a little over 4 minutes to play, that was maybe a surprise after an overtime winning Game 1. You thought maybe the Cavaliers had enough juice to stretch this thing deeper into the clock, didn't you?
They made a little bit of a run in the third quarter, cut a 13-point halftime lead down to 5. But they couldn't sustain that, and they never really slowed down the Golden State offense tonight. The Warriors had an effective field goal percentage of 66.5%, which is the second highest number in any game for these teams in the 4 finals that they've played. Just a hair shy of the Cavs' mark in Game 4 last year. And their effective field goal percentage before garbage time set in was 70%. So that would have been, the highest mark, and the highest mark for the Warriors in this postseason. So
are we allowed to call it garbage time?
Oh yeah, it was.
We can call it garbage time.
Garbage time, in the words of the fabulous Marv Albert.
Right.
So really, the Cavs had a terrific third quarter, and they cut only 3 points off the lead. It went from 13 at halftime to 10 after the third, and that just wasn't enough. And then Steph Curry really got cooking in the fourth, and that was that. That
magic third quarter, is usually an indicator for the Warriors of what's to come. But the 122-103 win salted away, actually, this time in the fourth quarter. You mentioned Steph. He had some vintage Steph bombs tonight. And this, I know we're 2 games in. There's a lot of basketball to be played. But this is perhaps Steph's path to kind of finishing the one thing he hasn't done so far, which is earn a Finals MVP trophy. He's got to be in the front runner right now, right?
I would think so. He got himself a Finals record tonight with 9 threes. That's set the highest, the mark for Finals three-pointers in a game in the Finals, breaking the mark held by Ray Allen, which was 8.
Right.
His 9 threes also tied for the second highest mark in postseason history, just shy of Klay Thompson's 11 in Game 6 in Oklahoma City a couple years ago. He had a terrific game. I think he really targeted Kevin Love in the pick and roll, tried to get isolated on Love, either to drive to the basket or to dance around and hit his patented step-back threes. And, of course, the highlight of the night was a little bit of a desperation heave at the shot clock buzzer that brought rain and then splashed through the net in the fourth. He was 5 for 5 on threes in the fourth quarter.
Unbelievable. We talk about it all the time, just that he makes them a different animal in terms of how he stretches the floor and forces the defense to play differently. Tonight was one of the greatest examples of that, of just how impactful Steph can be as a shot maker and fear factor for the defense in terms of how you defend this Warriors team.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, as great as his perimeter performance was, the Warriors really got going inside. They made their first 7 shots, and 6 of those 7 shots were layups. But like you said, that first bucket was a JaVale McGee slip to the rim because he was setting a screen for Steph Curry, and the Cavs are just so fearful of the shooting that they're overplaying the perimeter, and McGee slipped to the basket and had himself an easy dunk for the first basket of the night. And Cavs never tied or took the lead after that.
Never recovered, basically. Yeah, I felt that was one of the things I highlighted in my 10 lingering thoughts from Game 2 that you can find on NBA.com, was that's the first significant tweak for either side, was starting JaVale instead of Kevon Looney, and just the size, length, it added something totally different, in terms of a rim protector and a rim roller for the Warriors that they didn't have to start Game 1. Cleveland did not look comfortable working around JaVale early, which is kind of weird. This is his first time starting in the finals, obviously, but I mean, he was a factor.
Yeah, I mean, he ended up as a +0 for the night. He's had his defensive issues against the Cavs. He's really had some issues last year, to the point that he became unplayable in Game 5. But like you said, he has what the other Golden State bigs can't provide, is that rolling presence to the rim that just gives, when you have that with complementary shooting on the perimeter and a point guard who can shoot off the dribble, it makes it tough to guard. It really is like a really complementary piece to what the Warriors have elsewhere on the floor.
There's such a healthy break between Game 2 and Game 3. Is that enough time for Cleveland to kind of wash these first 2 games out of their system? You know what I mean? Get it out of their system, get back home, get comfortable, and recognize that Game 3 becomes the season now. You can't afford to go down 3-0 against this team and expect. I mean, even though you've been down 3-1 to this team and come back and won in the past, you cannot go home and lose Game 3 and expect to come back here for Game 5.
That's true, but we can go back to the Eastern Conference Finals where they lost Games 1 and 2 to the Celtics, and the Celtics clearly looked like the better team. And then they went to Cleveland and took Games 3 and 4, and series changed after that. They ended up winning. What the 2 days off between games also, though, is it provides Andre Iguodala an extra day for him to possibly recover and get back. I mean, he's been out now for 2 weeks. He's missed 6 games so far, and you could think that Cleveland going home will have, with the way they played, in Game 1 through, 3 quarters of Game 2, you'd think, they could win a game at home, win maybe 2 games at home. But then you remember the Warriors could have one of their most important players coming back also.
Right. Are we ready to change any significant thoughts we have about this series, the matchup, how it plays out? To me, the results have been what I thought they'd be. I thought Golden State would leave here with a 2-0 lead in the series. What I didn't bargain on, Steph seems like he's completely shaken off the question marks about his readiness from the conference finals and whether or not he was going to play well enough. And the other guy who tonight, to me, put on the right kind of performance. He's not going to be the finals MVP necessarily unless he goes bananas these next few games. But I love what Durant did. I love Kevin Durant's game. I love the 10 for 14 from the floor, which is ridiculous. Made 2 of his 3 shots from beyond the 3-point line, 9 rebounds, 7 assists.
I like the
2 blocks. We talk about him not being a facilitator. Tonight he was that.
I like the 7 assists. I think a lot of them came on isolations where he got into the paint and then drew a defender and then found somebody under the basket. The 7 assists is great. The Warriors are now 12-0 in the playoffs when he has 4 or more assists.
12-0 in the playoffs when they have 25 or more as a team.
So I mean, that's obviously a big part. I think the offense never really got stagnant like it did in the fourth quarter of Game 1, where we really were like, oh, what are these guys doing?
Right.
I think we never even saw any of that, really. I thought they were much more decisive. Even when they did ISO, they went quick and didn't let it get too stagnant. And I thought that was a big difference. So we'll see, and it helped that LeBron James just wasn't as quite as aggressive as he was in Game 1 on the other end of the floor.
What do you think led to that? What do you think was the issue for LeBron? Was it, you think it's fatigue? You think it's the way they defended him? Do you think it was just the opportunities were not there for him? He attacked. Yeah. He still attacked the basket.
Yeah, I thought he did. Like, he was in Game 1, he was 9 for 10 in the restricted area. Tonight he was 8 for 11 in the restricted area. But the difference was the outside. In Game 1, he was 10 for 22 from outside the restricted area. Tonight, just 2 for 9. So he didn't shoot well, and he didn't shoot as often. It seemed like there was a couple times where he was just on the perimeter, and instead of trying to attack and pass, he was just trying to pass from the perimeter, and the Warriors' defense really wasn't letting him do that. They were staying at home until he attacked. Once he got into the paint, yeah, they'll collapse. But if he's not doing that, they're going to stay at home. And so him just sort of playing from the high post and then trying to find guys from there was a little bit more difficult than maybe he expected.
Listen, I trust your eyeballs and your basketball IQ. You tell me how the Warriors don't win this series if LeBron's going to play like a mortal. Like, if he's not going to play superhuman LeBron, I don't see any path for Cleveland to win this series. He's got to – I'm not saying he's got to get 51, but, I mean, he's got to play offensively and energy-wise at a superhuman level for this team to have a chance to win the series.
Yeah, and the issue is that, the Cavs just don't have a second guy to create off the dribble, to do anything by himself. They truly miss Kyrie Irving, like that second guy who can, when LeBron's playing off the ball, create something. They just count on LeBron to basically create all of their offense, whether it's whether it's for himself or it's the attention that he draws, creating opportunities for everybody else. I thought they had some success in Game 1 playing through Kevin Love in the post, but we really didn't see much of that tonight in Game 2.
Two other guys I refuse to finish this podcast without mentioning. Sean Livingston, perfect 5 for 5 from the floor offensively. 4 for 4 in the first half, huge minutes, 10 points, 5 rebounds. I mean, just without Iguodala, him stepping up and playing the way he has been critical. And the other guy I can't get off of here without mentioning is J.R. Smith. 31 minutes, 7 seconds of the most ghostly basketball. I mean, you barely remember he was out there if he wasn't getting MVP chants from the Warriors crowd and getting a bigger ovation when they introduced the players than Steph did.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how he's greeted in Cleveland for Game 3. I thought that was interesting from the Warriors crowd. One, giving him a great ovation when he was introduced before the game, then giving him the MVP chant when he went to the free throw line.
Showing him some love.
They just need more from him. And I think the problem is, unless LeBron is attacking, Golden State is staying at home on these guys, and they're not getting easy opportunities. I can't recall them missing too many open shots in Game 2.
We're going to shift this series to Cleveland, Ohio. Going to be interesting to see how the Cavaliers respond and how this Warriors team travels in terms of, do they pack the same flow and energy? They're in the Western Conference Finals. They had some difficulty doing that in Houston. We're going to see if they can take this on the road, this rhythm that they're playing in right now, because I think they're in a really good rhythm.
And they should have some motivation to win Game 3 and not and sort of put their stamp on this series. And we saw it last year. Last year they were going for 16-0, and they came out. Game 3 obviously was the best game of the series last year, and they wanted that 16-0. Of course, they dropped the ball 2 nights later in Game 4.
Right.
But I think they'll be similarly motivated to win Game 3. And go for a sweep that they didn't get last year.
Right. It's going to be interesting. Make sure you go to NBA.com to get all of the finals coverage. NBA TV, the wrap-up, press conferences, the whole nine, everything you need from the finals here. Game 2 in the books, 122-103. The Golden State Warriors take a 2-0 lead in this series. We are now headed to Cleveland, Ohio for Games 3 and 4.
See you at the Fotan Cafe.
See you at the Fotan Cafe, where we are regulars. Sekou Smith, John Schumann here at Oracle Arena. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Hang Time Podcast, and be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts for a new episode every Thursday this season. And as always, say Kuna Matata.